Speak. You speak. Is it working? Yes. Hari Om. Hari Om.
ঠিক আছে
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saham Idam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavavai Om Shanti 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 Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Nilatam Nahaya Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vishwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vishwaram. Gurudev has been the main star in our life, and we are so blessed. And today is the Aradhana day, Sadhana day, and I was reading Bhagavatam, and in that they said there are 12 cantos. The first canto starts with the qualifications, and second canto deals with sadhana. So to have come into a satsang in the shelter of Gurudev, that is when our sadhana begins. And then as we serve, as we study, as we grow, then we are led into the journey deeper and deeper. We come to know what is Sarg, creation. We claim to do so many things. Somebody had a lot of ego. He says, I did this and I did that. So he says, what did you do it with? He says, I did it with sand and cement. He says, okay, who created the sand? That is the mass. He said, who created the sand? And then he realized that, oh, I mean, the sand was already there. Then I processed it, and then something else came out of it. Then we come to Visarg. That is what we do with what he has given us. Like this, we've got so many chapters, but it is an eye-opening for us, all of us. Then he says, where are you? The sthan. He tells you about, our idea is my land or my house or my state or my country. He says there are thousands of Brahmans, and they all belong to him, out of which you are an insignificant part. So once you remember that, then you're, that so much of ego. The whole purpose of life is to somehow give the ego to him. And we people think we are very intellectuals. And so he says, okay, intellectually, I will destroy your ego. And after we come to know the sthan, then comes motion. We think that we are doing everything for our family. He says, no. I am the one who is doing all the motion of everybody. There are so many millions of living beings, and you are a very small minority of a human being. And this living beings which we have got, who is looking after them? They don't have any religion, but I control them, I give them. Then, of course, then he talks about the Ishana Katha. Then he talks about the Manvantars. How many Manvantars are there? You are only involved with one particular Manvantar. Then again he goes forward, he says, you come to the stories of the Lord. There are so many, Lord came in so many ways, but we want to, Bhagavatam really is dealing with Lord. So he to introduce us into that. And then we have got Nirodha. Nirodha is very important. Nirodha is we have to have control. Unless we control ourselves, we can never make progress. And then comes mukti, freedom. Everybody wants freedom. And then finally, ashray, the substratum. So who is the substratum? He is the substratum. Pujya Guruji has written this, there's a very thick book, 1,000 pages over. And so people get scared, but actually in that simple words, what he has explained, it is out of the world. He has shown that Bhagavatam is only Vedanta. So in Vedanta, we learn that we have to kill our ego. So what is this ego? When we identify with our three bodies, then the ego is born. And what is the source of the ego? He says, the ignorance is the source of the ego. And then we have got so many negative qualities. So all these asuras which are there in the stories of Bhagavatam, so they are related with each of our negative qualities which we have. So he says you have to destroy that if you want me. And then he says after destroying the negative qualities, then you have to come to the positive qualities. Even those have to go. Then finally you have to seek him. Once you have understood that it is all him, he is doing everything. We are only taking credit of that. And Gurudev and Pujya Guruji, they have explained this in such simple terms. So we can become erudite scholars. But here it is not comparative religion or becoming scholars. It is the shortest route to know ourselves. And then they have shown that if you know what is your capacity, talent, you offer it to the Lord. And if you can't understand, you just surrender to the Lord. And if you can't even do that, you just want to work, you work for the Lord. And he will show the way, he will take care of everything. This is the beauty of our Pujya Gurudev. And regarding talk, see, we have heard him so many number of times and you are all familiar with whatever he has said. But you must try to wonder, what did he want actually? He says if each one knows what is his talent or whatever his uniqueness, then if he offers it to me, even if he offers it to me as an enemy, still I will take care of it. And the power, he has got no hatred for anybody, he's only got love. And this message of love which is uniting, and he has got millions of followers today all over the world, that he shows that love is the lubricating factor because of which everything works. And then, see, the question is, we feel how much I have read, how well I can speak. But he says, I don't care for all that. He says, ultimately, it is a silence. Dynamic silence, what you have to arrive. And that can only come, can be discovered because we are already that silence. But once we get involved into this plurality, then we get caught in the noises. So he says, I am not in noise, I am not in writings, I am not in fightings, I am not in loving, I am silence, pure silence. So to me, the gist of Pujya Gurudev ultimately is you are silence, and silence is bliss, and that is Shanti, 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 happiness, happiness, happiness. So we have to know actually what we are looking for. And it reminds me of the Kindle life. The simple definition that what is mind is the flow of thoughts. Whenever there is a flow, there will be noise. And what is flow of thoughts? So this thought, that thought, millions of thoughts. So he says nothing big. You become a gopi. There will be so many gopis. So all the thoughts, worldly thoughts will go away because you are surrendered to him. So all gopis, one kind of similar thought. And then out of all the gopis, then you've got one thought of Rukmani. So that is the one. And then he sometimes gives special preference to her. And then sometimes he picks her up. Sometimes he dumps her. So with this is to create the craving, the intensity with which we want to know and love the Lord. If we can understand this outline, then I think all questions get answered. Then we don't have any competition with anybody, no envy with anybody, no desire, because everything is His. So what is my desire? Only I can desire what He desires and give Him credit for everything. If this thought can be imbibed in us on this day, I think it's a great this thing. So now I have seen, it was earlier, a lot of classes were necessary, and we are continuing with the classes. For the newcomer, we have to make them aware. And when I start the class, I tell them, okay, any questions? So if anybody has got question, I know he has done some reading, some study, and he's serious. Otherwise, it's a pastime, good pastime. So then I say, okay, I also keep quiet. Then, that silence starts hurting. And then somebody, now they say, what's the problem? So they hook up with a question. And then I give them a counter question. So the idea is, Gurudev has made us to think, is what is the correct mode of thinking. If our thinking process is understood, then no matter where we are, what place we are in, it does not matter. Because if our thinking is right, then we have got that, we understand truly what is Shreyas. So wherever I go, whether I go to London, Paris, Japan, one village, or I am in the biggest town, I have to keep my sharp intellect intact. If that sharp intellect I have developed, then nothing, you have got what you have to get. But if that I am going for prayer, then I have a problem. I have to work for it. So these are all guidelines for us, and I have found, his guidelines are innumerable. You cannot, stop at it. And so we are very fortunate. In fact, somebody asked me the other day, have you seen God? I said, not seen God. I have lived for Him. I have worked for Him. I have fought with Him. And I have got His love. He said, you are God? Yes, I said, that's what it is. The question is, how you see the other person depends upon your drishti. If you can see the essence in him, then you know that you have got what you wanted. But if you see him as somebody other, that means you are on the path. So we have to keep reminding us, and ultimately He's doing everything. We have to keep ourselves ready and all the time offer ourselves to Him. And if we do that, we get the credit, and He is happy with us, and there's nothing else. Any question anybody has got? Somebody else can now say something.
Some reminiscence, this small, any reminiscence with Gurudev?
Reminiscence is like this. Gurudev came, and we had invited him for Paduka Puja, and we were very fortunate to have had that occasion to do Paduka Puja. And it was warm, February, it was hot at that time. And so he was sitting there, the fan was on, and at that time, he said, light a lamp. And the suggestion of lighting a lamp, so we had that lamp ready and we lighted it. But to light the lamp, we had to switch off the fan. And we said, if we switch off the fan, then Gurudev is going to sit there for 1 hour. So how, in this hot season, but he says, you light the lamp. That the message is, He sacrificed His comfort for us. And He did not say anything, but He said, I'm lighting the lamp. So you have now responsibility of lighting as many lamps you can, and that's it. And you will have to take the suffering also. It is not that just the lamp will be lighted. And we used to have camps and all that on the map of India. So then people used to have come from so many places. Even on world maps we used to draw. And they say, from wherever you have come, you place a diya on that place. So we saw so many diyas all over the world. People had come. So he says, with this, when you go back, go and light other people's hearts, and that is my message to all of you. So, nothing more. We just remember, and we feel that we are very, very blessed, and we are in the best hands. Yeah. Hari Om.
Thank you very much.